Hi there. So welcome to this video series on how to build amazing functional fitness and a complete strength and conditioning program using only 3 pieces of crucial equipment. So before we get into these pieces of equipment, I just want to talk a little bit about how we can, in a very cost-effective and very easy way, build a body that has amazing functional health and longevity without necessarily needing to step into a gym. If anything, in actual fact, most gym equipment is built toward or geared toward building a body that's really purely just for aesthetic reasons. Most of it isn't what's called compound movements, which we'll talk a little bit more about in this series, but more that they're isolated muscle movements to build volume in muscle, really for the purpose of bodybuilding. Now, bodybuilding, in my opinion, is an amazing creative art and an expression of a body that has great muscle volume, which I think is, of course, essential for great health, but it's only one component of it. I think that there are ways that we can train that are far more conducive for amazing longevity, and especially in the day and age when we're aging and we need to carry this vehicle of our body with us into elderly age. We really need to find the best way to move our body that enables us to stay free of inflammation and arthritis and cardiovascular disease and all the lifestyle related diseases that come from not moving our bodies in a correct way, not having correct diet, and essentially also not taking care of our mindset, which we will cover in maybe some other video series later on. But for the purposes of this, we're going to start with the 3 foundational pieces of equipment that are really going to help you on your journey toward amazing longevity. So the first piece of equipment that I want to introduce to you guys is the resistance band. So you can pick one of these up from pretty much anywhere nowadays, like even a Kmart has them. Obviously, it might not be the same quality as a better one that you would pick up from a sports-specific store, but I will leave a link to some good places that have some really good bands and some really good brands that you might want to look at. The reason you want to get a better quality band is because they do end up eventually cracking. Now, I've had this one for about 4 years and I have no cracks in mine. Obviously, you've got to take care of it, make sure you don't leave it exposed in the sun. But you really want one that's not going to crack, so it's not going to end up snapping on you at some point, which probably would be disastrous and not feel too nice, depending on where you've got it wrapped around. But before we get into the use of the band, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the humble squat. And we're going to be using the band to get into a good squat position in a moment. But before we do that, I want to just speak a bit about the squat and why it's so foundational to good functional fitness and longevity. It's a compound exercise that really, done correctly, really requires us to have really good core strength. And if you haven't heard me talk about core strength, look up one of my videos at some point talking specifically about what core strength is. A lot of people misperceive this with being abdominal strength. It's not that. Your core is essentially the primary part of your core is called your transverse abdominis muscle. Type it into Google and have a look just how big this muscle is. It runs like a corset around our whole midsection and is the stabilization point for our entire body. So the squat involves good core strength required, and another one is amazing mobility to be able to get yourself into a proper, and I'll just move this camera slightly so you can see, but to be in a good functional squat position requires amazing mobility to get down into the depth of a squat. Now, when we're talking about squatting, we want to be able to be in a position in our squat where we can get the full depth, where we're basically what's called ass to grass. A lot of times, a lot of people talk about it in the industry that know anything about good squatting. And what I want to say about this position is that if you travel to Asia, and I don't know so much nowadays, but when I was a kid, see, I'm half Thai, so we used to travel there a lot. This is this position that a lot of people assume throughout Southeast Asia in a daily basis on whatever they're doing, whether they're weaving a basket or working with some power tools, whether they're sitting or eating or going to the bathroom. This is the position they assume. Now, being in this position in itself takes amazing mobility and, like I said, core strength, but then they need to get out of this position. So they're standing up out of this position 100 times a day. Now I want you to think about who else do you see assuming this position regularly? And I'll tell you who it is. It's infants and children. Young kids, when they pick things up, they're not picking things up like we pick things up, like in this bent over position. They're coming down, they pick things up like this, and they stand back up. So getting into a good squat position is what I think is the foundation of longevity. And I'll just share a little bit. My auntie, she's 74, 75 this year. She still climbs trees to get mangoes. And all the time I see her in this squat position. She has a better squat than 99% of people that I see in the park doing boot camp training, where they're squatting down like in this kind of position. Okay, because they just don't have the range of mobility and the core strength to keep themselves in an upright position as they get down. So here we go, getting started with the band. Now, essentially our squat position, we want to be, like I said, as upright as possible in our spine and getting ourselves as low to the ground as possible with our weight distribution on our heels. And like I said, if you're going to be in this position, you've got to have great mobilization through your hips. You've got to be able to shoot your hips through and get your knees out. Now, most people won't be able to get that low in that position. And so when they'll do a squat, they'll start leaning forward to compromising their weight distribution. So we need to be able to start changing that up, guys. We need to get that weight distribution into our heels and staying upright in our squat into this position. So here's where the band comes in. 101 of squatting. So we step into the band, so we loop it around. You step into the band. You're going to have the band just underneath your glutes, just underneath your bum. From there, you're going to step back until you get to that point where you can tip back with the band, and you're not going to fall over backwards. So it's basically essentially helping you to stay upright in this position where normally when you squat, you lean forward to be able to stay upright and not fall on your bum. Now you're going to lean your back, take you back into that nice upright position, and you're going to slowly try to come down with the assistance of the band into being into that bottom squat position. Now with an upright position in your back, and from there you can start working on driving your knees out, getting your hips through, working this position to really be able to concentrate on being in a prime optimal squat position. This is what we're working toward. Now, I believe that if you could keep squatting in this position for the rest of your days, work toward this position, and once you're there, maintain it, that's going to be the key to your longevity. From here, we can start doing drills to mobilize, to open up. So open up that spine. We can push against that knee. We can open up our arm. And we're doing it now with the safety of knowing we're not going to fall back because you've got the band supporting you and you're able to maintain this upright position with the assistance of the band. So there you go, guys. There you have it. That's my first tip for the band. We're going to continue with other uses of the band as we go for awesome, optimal, functional fitness. And like I said, this is all you need, one of the 3-piece equipment that you need to be able to create amazing functional fitness and a complete strength and conditioning program. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.